What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Cooking with Tan. I'm your host, Tanner, and we're gonna make some delicious food today. As always, don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe for more epic content like this, and in the comment section below, I'd like you to tell me what your favorite kind of sandwich is. Today, we're gonna be making the most epic vegetarian sandwich. All the ingredients you need to make this sandwich are commonly found in your home. You can probably find them in your cabinet or your fridge right now. So what we're working with: spring mix, vegetarian lunch meat, American cheese, sourdough bread, and real mayonnaise. So the nice thing about sandwiches, you can do whatever you want. All that you need to make a sandwich is bread, meat, and basically whatever else you like. In fact, you don't even need the meat. You could even substitute that for a tomato or a mushroom or whatever you like. So the reason I selected these ingredients is because I like them. So the reason I selected sourdough bread is because it is the best bread. I selected spring mix lettuce because it is the best lettuce. Vegetarian lunch meat because I do care about the planet. American cheese for its creaminess and saltiness. And real mayonnaise because it just doesn't get any better than real mayonnaise. So the first step, most importantly of anything, anytime you're in the kitchen, is safety. Now we're not going to be using any knives for the sandwich assembly, but there's an even scarier enemy than knives, and that is germs. So first step should always be to wash your hands and make sure you have a clean cooking environment, especially when working with raw foods. All right, and so we're ready to get started. So first, we start with the bread. The outer edges of the sandwich are always encased in bread. Unless you're doing some crazy sort of romaine wrap, that's a principle that can be applied to pretty much any sandwich. So, I'd like to take both of my pieces of bread and open them whichever side is prettier, whichever side looks like it's going to have a larger surface area to accept more mayonnaise, and that will increase the flavor profile of the mayonnaise. All right, so our bread is in place. You know what comes next: the sauce. So again, we're using real mayonnaise, 100%, the real good stuff. Whatever kind of bottle you have, it doesn't matter. So we're going to take this and we're just going to try to evenly apply it. Key word is evenly. Yep. That's one side. I like it on both sides. You know, you don't want one side of your tongue tasting a bite of wet, delicious ingredients and the other side remaining dry. It will scrape your mouth and that sort of thing. All right, and then after I apply the sauce, I always like to go to the cheese next. And again, in this case, we're working with American. So, I like to apply it on both sides. Again, I like to have an even taste throughout the entire sandwich. No matter where I bite down on it, no matter if it's flipped one side or the other, we're keeping the same consistency throughout each bite of the sandwich. And I can't emphasize enough how important it is to select the right cheese for your sandwich. The cheese is going to be the part of the sandwich that really ties everything together. So in this case, we've chosen American. But if you were to be working with a roast beef and a horseradish sandwich, something with a lot of oomph, you might want to select a more mild cheese, such as a provolone. And if you're looking for more saltiness, in our case, we go with an American or a Gouda. Now, I will say, I preached a lot about consistency in a sandwich. Now, I'm going to fault that rule for one case, and that is the lettuce. And I'll explain why. Lettuce in a lot of cases and most sandwiches is going to be the part where you provide a texture. Without the lettuce, you're basically just working with sort of mushy ingredients. So I apply the lettuce on one half of the sandwich. So again, we're using spring mix here. It's a very good lettuce. It's going to provide a lot less crunch than your icebergs, but I really enjoy it for the different sort of flavors that it introduces. We're working with a lot of salty ingredients here, and some of the more darker parts of the spring mix will introduce some bitterness that can really just provide a different sort of flavor that can really draw out a lot of the other positive sides of all the other ingredients. And on to the real meat and potatoes of the sandwich, the meat. So again, we've got vegetarian meat for this one. Important steps to consider when applying meat to your sandwich. Surface area. Now you've probably heard me on some of my other videos preach about surface area when it comes to cooking. And I can't emphasize this enough. The more surface area that each ingredient you're working with has, the more flavor you're going to get out of it. So you'll notice me, even though the lunch meat comes all compact in individual slices, you'll find me peeling apart each slice and applying them individually. And that's just going to let you taste a lot more of it. It's going to make more contact with your taste buds and really just emphasize some of the natural ingredients that we're working with here. And the flop. And there we have it. That is a sandwich. And this the ingredients used here, I want to talk about what they mean to me a little bit. This is a sandwich that my great-grandma used to make for me. And I used to spend every summer at her cottage in the Netherlands. And these were some of the only ingredients they had available to them, living in the mountains of the Netherlands. And so this has a little bit of nostalgic feelings for me that, really, it just takes me back. And so that's sort of the beauty of sandwiches. You can combine any ingredient, anything that means anything to you, anything that makes you feel happy and loved, and you can put it in a sandwich and you can eat it and you can remember the good times. Now that is a sandwich. I have to say, all these ingredients together just make a very special sandwich that just takes me back and really just fills me with a sense of well-being. And so I can remember as my great-grandma was fighting in the war, what she would have had to sacrifice to make these sandwiches for me. And yet she still did it. And so I gotta say, just from an objective point of view, this is a great sandwich. The sourdough bread really, it's so much better than the bread that you Americans eat. The white, we call it marshmallow bread, because it's basically just a puffy little cloud that doesn't taste like anything. But this is real bread. American cheese. I'll give you some credit. You Americans have good cheese. Mayonnaise. You also have good mayonnaise. Vegetarian meat. If you haven't tried it, I recommend you go out to your store and try some. Anyway, everything just really works here. I gotta just eat the rest of this, so I'm gonna have to cut this video short. And remember, if you got something out of this, drop a like, and don't forget to leave me a comment and talk about some special sandwiches that you had growing up that maybe you still eat today. Anyway, this is your host, Tanner. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. We'll see you next week.